Welcome to Forum 360 for a global outlook with a local view. I'm Leslie Unger, your host today. As an animal lover, the lyrics from Dr. Doolittle's Talk to the Animals, if I could walk with the animals, talk with the animals, grunt and squeak and squawk with the animals, and they could talk to me, come alive when I get to pet a camel, a kangaroo, or an alpaca. At Majestic Meadows in Medina County, I feel like the animals are talking to me. But the person, or one of the people, whom the llamas, sheep, goats, mini horses, and pigs really talk to, is our guest today. We actually have two of the people the animals really talk to. Many of the animals I have referenced will be our guest today on this Zoom edition, where we may just get to talk and squawk and squeak with the animals. I want to welcome Jeff Farley and his daughter Brittany and his family's animals coming to us from Majestic Meadows. Welcome, two-legged and four-legged and two kind of legged guests. I'm not sure what to call the kangaroos, right? They're two-legged. Can you start, Jeff, by giving us an overview? How many different breeds of animals and how many total animals call Majestic Meadows home?
Oh, we probably have, good morning, everybody. We probably have over 125 different types of, or different animals completely, from a wide range of kangaroos, wallabies, camel, goats, sheep, miniature Highland cows. We have baby ducks, miniature Vietnamese pot-bellied pigs. So we have a wide array of animals that are people-friendly.
They really are people friendly. Now, before we start talking about the animals, did you ever count up, or maybe you actually don't really want to know, how many pounds of food do you go through a year?
Oh, I have no idea. We go through an enormous amount of hay. There's different types of hay. We actually feed the different species of animals, and then the grain itself and the different food. So we go through a lot of hay, go through a lot of grain. The pigs, for example, go through a lot of vegetables. So we have a wide variety of different hay that we feed the animals, but I have no idea how much it is.
It's probably better that way, right?
Well, I do know I went through already probably 8 or so different hay wagons, and I have another 8 to 10 on storage just to get me through winter.
Now, when you started as an alpaca farm, did you have just alpacas then? And did you have a vision for what Majestic Meadows would look like 20 years from now, which is now, or 20 years from then?
We started with alpacas as an alpaca investment, an alpaca farm exclusively. And I've always liked donkeys, so I purchased some donkeys because they're just so friendly. And then everything besides the alpacas and donkeys was an afterthought for an attraction for people that could get used to the different variety of animals that they can actually go up to and pet and feed and do it very safely, even with small children.
Now, you guys actually practically live at the zoo. I mean, your house is right there, right? And
yeah,
so
yes, it is.
You actually kind of like live at the zoo. So can you just give us an idea of what it is like to be on this first name basis with these animals that must recognize you and talk to you and depend on you?
Well, you have to be good with the animals. You have to be calm. You have to know what the animals, when they're not feeling good, so you can, quite frankly, get a jump on taking care of them if there are certain medications that they need. For birthing, a lot of alpacas have their babies in the morning, so you have to be up early because that's generally when they're born. We had 2 born yesterday, matter of fact, and that was about 6:30 in the morning. Both of them were born. So you have to be, you have to like the animals, and you have to be able to get up early. And quite frankly, if it takes all day, you have to be out there at night to take care of any animals that require it.
You know, I grew up with horses, and people always said I was lucky, which I was, but they really didn't know all the work that goes behind, right? Being fortunate to be around animals.
You have to be, every animal requires something differently. So you have to be able to read the animal to see if they're not feeling good. And like you said, since we live so closely, we live literally right here in the backyard. We hear all kinds of noises, from ducks to definitely the donkeys, but the turkeys. So we hear all kinds of noises pretty much all the time.
So let's start. We are with the kangaroos and the wallaby. Most people, I think, would be surprised that kangaroos and wallaby can flourish in Northeast Ohio. So tell us how you came up with the decision to have kangaroos. And then, Brittany, I have to ask you how they ended up being raised in your house.
You can answer the first one.
Well, the first part of it is we were in New Zealand and Australia, and I went to a place where they had, obviously in Australia, where they had a lot of kangaroos. So I was fortunate enough to go in right with the pens to be able to pet the little joeys in the pouches. And so I thought that would be a neat concept to have if you could raise them properly. So when we first got the babies, they were actually raised in our house, and my daughter was able to do anything with them, to bottle feed them, to where we actually, originally we had a diaper on them and put a hole in the diaper for their tail, but then we had to get them acclimated to outside, but very, very spoiled. As you can see, Lily here sleeping on a cot. They have their own cots in the room here. They have sleeping bags that they actually like. We have to provide them for a good climate in the wintertime, which is heat, but they will go outside, provided they have a warm environment that they can come inside and keep warm. But they're extremely friendly. My daughter can pick them up and carry them around.
Now, I understand that you have to shovel the snow for them. Is that right?
So in the sidewalk we have, if we shovel the sidewalk, they will hop outside in wintertime. Now, they will not get their tail wet or they will not get their feet wet, but they will come and jump on the sidewalk and come right back inside where it's heated.
Well, they are absolutely adorable. As you guys start venturing towards the goats, let me ask you, how long did they stay in the house with you? And was it hard for them to adjust to not being in the house?
They were in the house for probably a couple months when we first got them, and we bottle fed them. And they got to the point where they slept in little pouches hanging on doorknobs. And then at least when they started to jump, we were worried about our small dogs, but it got to the point where the dogs they just froze. The kangaroos would actually jump right over the dogs.
Yeah, they even played together sometimes. It was really funny.
Oh my gosh.
It was like,
now, they flew, how did they get here from New Zealand?
Well, so we actually bought them as babies in the United States.
Okay.
So I have a USDA license, which we're required to get certain animals. So when I purchased them, I had to be able to provide them with a proper environment, which includes fencing. So you need to have a double fence.
So which is what we're seeing right now.
Environment to be able to hear.
And we're seeing the double fence as you are entering right now.
Well, this is another double fence going into the goats, but this is the same similarity with the kangaroos.
Okay, so just so people can see some of the things that are necessary as we get to the goats. Now, what I want to know is, can you look or play at a goat without smiling?
That would be hard to do because the goats are the most active thing on the farm. By that, I mean they're very jumpy. They like to, if you bent down, for example, to tie your shoes or something, there's a good chance a goat may jump on your back.
Oh my gosh, is that where goat yoga comes from?
That is where the goat yoga comes. So we have it every Saturday in the mornings, and they will actually, people will be doing goat yoga and they will jump on your back. And they like their food. That's when they're the most chunkiest. But these are very small goats. But there's a couple on here that are crosses, but the majority of them are very small. They're actually Nigerian dwarf goats.
Nigerian dwarf goats. Can you give us just a quick photo of what their backyard looks like?
Yes. So goats like to climb. So these are pedestals that you see that they jump on. And then in their back, where they have their pasture, they have a playground. that, and this sounds silly, but the goats, they get all these toys and they enjoy them all. And they enjoy this ramp right here. They like to jump, so they'll jump off these with no problem whatsoever.
Now,
Goats like to jump, so you have to be able to provide that.
do they have different personalities?
Oh yes, Thelma and Louise, the very first goats that I first purchased. Louise is black and white, and she actually, this is Louise. She actually loves hair and clothing, and she always, that's just her thing. Some of them are more docile or more quiet, but others are, if you give them an opportunity, they're going to chew on your clothes.
Now, will they come when you call them?
Yeah, over the food they will. They don't know their names. Certain animals on the farm knows their names. For example, the Gus the camel, he knows his name. The cows, the donkeys, the horses, they all know their names.
Now, back to the vision, when you started adding to the alpacas, is it as simple as build it and they will come? How did people know to start coming?
It was basically, we had a social media platform and it was by word of mouth. What we try to do here is provide a very safe environment and a very enjoyment for families to come out for release of any stress that they have and just relax and no worries. So it was, a lot of it was by word of mouth that people had such a good time that they would just tell one person and it would tell another person. So we strive to try to make sure everyone has a good time.
Now, take me back to the summer of 2020. COVID is affecting our daily lives. Did Majestic Meadows become more popular because it was a place people could feel safe being outside?
Yes, it was very much so because it was outside. And we also, that's when we first started having people to register online to where, with the COVID restrictions, that we only would have so many people based off over a certain time slot. That way we can spread everybody out. But that's when we actually kind of, for us, that's why it was kind of almost like a springboard to where it became very popular.
Which is just so interesting, you know, that as bad as COVID was, there are some people and companies that it actually was a help for.
Yes, and it was, a lot of people were jammed up in their house and they wanted to get out when they were able to get out. So this is roughly like 20 acres. So we have a wide variety of pastures that people can go in, and they can distance themselves from people. So
and as
if
we're
somebody's,
looking,
for example,
excuse me, but as we're looking at these pastures, I just want
kangaroos,
people to know
so
that people can actually go out in those pastures and pet the animals, right?
that is correct. So you can, if some people, everybody's different. So some people are a little bit more timid. But if somebody wants to go out to the pastures, for example, this big mom and baby pasture that you're seeing, they can go out and be right with the moms and babies.
Jeff, you have to tell us who was right in front of you.
So this mom here just had her baby yesterday, and that's her little baby boy.
Oh my
So
gosh.
this baby that was born at 6:30 yesterday morning.
Wow. Let me just stop
And
you
so
for a moment.
there-
Let me just stop you for a moment.
Sure.
We are getting a tour of Majestic Meadows with Jeff Farley and his daughter, Brittany, and right now we are looking at alpacas. So tell us something about alpacas that would surprise us.
So they normally have their babies born in the morning. They do have them in the afternoon, but the vast majority of them in the morning. They only have one baby. It's called a cria, C-R-I-A. Their gestation is 11 and a half months, and the baby usually is walking within a half an hour, 45 minutes, up and walking, nursing. And so they're doing a lot of communicating. They're a herd type animal, so you can see that the gate's open where they can go in the backyard. But
Yes.
even if they do, and there's another mom and baby born yesterday. So they're not going to go anywhere because they like to be around the community. But they're very friendly. Their fleece is very soft, and that's what a lot of people, one of the stores that we have, we sell a lot of alpaca products, and
So-
it's very, very soft.
Tell us about that for a moment, because sometimes we forget that you started as an alpaca business, which means that you shave their fur in the spring and make things
Yeah.
out of it.
Yes, so what we do is we shear them in May. We send the fleece to be processed, and it takes a long time. By processed, I mean washed dyed, spun into yarn. So the yarn in one of the stores is from all of our own alpacas. And then we use a lot of the yarn ourselves to make a lot of the smaller stuff, the gloves, the mittens, the hats. And so a lot of it is handmade in a store is what we sell. And then, of course, we have other products, whether it be stuffed animals or whatever the case. We have a wide variety of different products that we sell. But we use most of the alpaca fleece ourselves.
So now we are seeing some more alpacas. Now, they don't have upper teeth, so they really can't bite you. Is that correct?
That is correct. So camelids, that being Gus the camel up here, for example, a couple of llamas we have, the alpacas. Cows, believe it or not, they don't have upper teeth. So they're very safe to feed. When somebody feeds something like this big size, like Gus the camel, it's all lips. It's very safe. And here, Gus, come here, buddy.
Now,
So
Gus
you can
was
see
one
how
of my
he turned around and
favorites.
knows- And so it's just, I'm giving him a piece of apple right now, but you can feed him like you would feed a horse. You could plop it right in his mouth. It's very safe.
Now, let me ask you, we think of camels, we think of the Arabian desert. So what is a camel doing in Northeast Ohio?
So once again, you have to, if you get a certain animal, you have to do your homework and be able to take care of him. So he is in a building that I close up, so there's no draft in the wintertime, but he has a big straw bed. So I go through a lot of straw in the wintertime, and he sleeps in that bed every single night. So I give him a real big, thick straw bed, which adds insulation. So that provides to keep him warm. And he also gets his big coat. So he sheds his coat as opposed to the alpacas, which we shear. So he's actually getting his winter coat on now, and it will get really thick to keep him warm.
Now, have you ever ridden him?
No, I've ridden camels before, but with him, I've had him for about a year and a half now. And he's really close with me. He actually behaves pretty well, but I want to get him where we have a real strong bond before I get on him, that we trust each other completely.
Now,
I have a saddle for him.
Now, he is one of the animals, I believe, on your website that it says he's in his forever home. So does he have a backstory that made you want to say that this is where he is going to be for the rest of his life?
Well, we purchased him from a lady from Missouri, and what happened was she no longer could take care of him. And so she was looking for someone to purchase him and be able to take care of him properly. So I bought him off her, had him transported here from Missouri, and had a vet came out exclusively for him, and I got him on a certain feeding regimen. And so what he's eating right now is actually alfalfa hay. And so he has a certain type of hay, a certain type of grain. So now he's very healthy right now.
Now, who's his friend that's in with him?
So he's in with a couple miniature horses to keep him a companion. This young lady right here, her name is Cloud, and she knows her name, but they actually get along. That being said, he's boss, but you can see how they're both eating the hay at the same time.
Yes.
So that's his companion.
How cute. How cute. Now, did you have trial and error to find out who would live with whom?
No, well, I actually had a cow with him one time, but it's easier for me with the horse because the horses are easier to control as opposed to a cow in here, and that's two big animals. And so this fence is really reinforced because of the camel, but these guys just have a good bond together. They don't mind being together at all.
Now, one time when I was there, Gus was in closer to his closed-in area under the overhang, and I called him and he came. So tell me, did he just come because I called him, or would he just come for anybody? Does he know his name?
No, he knows his name.
Okay.
So Gus the camel knows his name. He can be out in the pasture 50 yards away from me, and I can call him, and he'll come right over to me. The horses, the donkeys right over here. The donkeys they all know their name. The pigs, if I yell Petunia, Patrick, and George, they will all come running.
Wow. Now, this probably is not fair, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Do you have a favorite animal? Or two?
I would be a couple. I like the miniature pigs because they're so smart. So this is Petunia right here. Come here, Petunia.
Now, what makes you say they're so smart?
Well, once again, they know their name.
She just
they will
came
come
when you called her.
And here comes the piglets. So, and once again, a lot of it is food related, but these guys are very friendly. They're very smart. They're I can't talk. They're litter trained. They're very clean animal, providing you have the environment to keep them clean. Pigs don't naturally sweat, so I actually have a little small swimming area for them, which they go in and cool themselves off. But these guys I really like, and I like the donkeys because the donkeys are so friendly.
Now, with dogs, sometimes people will say that you don't choose your dog, the dog chooses you. You know, you don't say you're an animal person, the animal will prove whether you're an animal person. So, are there some animals that have chosen you as their person?
Yes, I'm very close with Gus the camel and the donkeys. Believe it or not, they have a good memory. So if you treat them, they're going to remember that. So you always, no matter how good or bad your day is going, you want to always treat the animals on a good nature. I mean, you can see, these guys are very friendly because they know I'm not going to harm them. I take care of them. So you just want to make sure that you treat all animals well, and they will respect that, and they know you're going to take care of them.
Now, what is something that when people look at, say, the pigs or maybe, the dwarf goats, and they think, well, gee, I'd like to have them in my house. What are some things people should keep in mind?
Well, so for the miniature pigs, for example, you can actually have them in your house. You walk the dog and give them a bath. They do know their name, but you still have to be able to provide with them with their proper feed. For example, you don't want to you don't want to love them too much. Junk food just to you. For example, too much sweets. So you want to be able to, if you get an animal like a kangaroo or whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that you are able to take care. I can honestly say every animal on this farm, every single animal on this farm has a better life here than they do in their wild. They have the best food, they have the best hay, they have more than enough pastures or whatever the surrounding that they need. So if you get an animal, you have to be able to make sure that you can take care of it. And that's really the bottom line.
Now, will you tell us quickly the difference between an alpaca and a llama?
Sure, alpacas are fleece-bearing animals, which is what you see right here. Llamas are from the same family, but they're twice as big. So a full-grown alpaca might weigh 170 pounds. A llama's going to weigh 350 pounds. They're considered a beast of burden. They can be a guard dog. They can also, if you go on a camping trip, they can actually carry some of your gear on top of their back because they're so strong.
Now, in the couple minutes we have remaining, I'm going to ask you a couple questions first with 1 or 2 word answers. What is one thing that would surprise us about most of your animals in general?
They are extremely friendly and very approachable.
Okay. Do they have a favorite music? Do you ever play music for them, and do they have they show any differences when you play any music?
The pigs always have constant music going on. It's just a very soothing music to calm them down throughout the whole day.
Huh. Now, do you have to pick a playlist?
No, it's just a very calming music, and it actually just soothes them, and it believe it or not, allows them to relax.
Now, you've had this alpaca farm for more than 20 years. Is there anything that ever surprises you?
I'm actually surprised that, to be honest with you, that the alpaca market is as strong as it's not as strong as it was in the beginning, but it's still very strong as an investment if you know what you're doing.
You know what you're doing. How do you ever go away on vacation, and how do you go away and leave 100+ animals?
We do go on vacation usually in January. That's the challenge, to find somebody that is willing and that can take care of the wide variety of animals, the care that they individually need, because they need different types of care. From the tortoise that we have to the camel, they need different types of care. So the challenge is to find somebody that can provide that.
Yeah, I would think so, but I'll volunteer to learn, okay?
That sounds good.
I want to thank you, Jeff and Brittany, and all of the animals. After you have fed or talked to or petted Gus or Daisy or a yet-to-be-named baby alpaca that maybe was just born yesterday, you may think they can squeak and squawk and speak and talk to you. A fairly short car ride transports you to another place. Jeff and Brittany and his family and the army of helpers make all of the care of these hundreds of animals seem easy. So as visitors, we just get to enjoy. Every month except January offers you the ability to experience Majestic Meadows, one of the jewels of Northeast Ohio. I'm Leslie Unger. Thank you to Jeff and all the two-legged and four-legged members from Majestic Meadows for joining us today, and all of you in Northeast Ohio. Remember that go online if you want to visit and make your reservations. Thank you for joining us today on Forum 360 for your global outlook with a local view.
Forum 360 is brought to you by John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, the Akron Community Foundation, Hudson Community Television, the Rubber City Radio Group, Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron, Blue Green, Electric Impulse Communications, and Forum 360 supporters.